lovers. I have the beautiful, the talented, one of my favorites, Miss Julianne Moore. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
I got to see you get your freak on in this movie. I mean, I don't want to spoil it for the audience, but there's some paddles, there's some spankings going on.
There's some stuff, there's some weird stuff. They definitely are not what they seem, these two, right? Yeah.
How did it feel embodying this timepiece character and like rolling back the clock to these points of integration where you're in the grocery store? How did that feel?
It feels kind of awful. When you're playing these scenes, Karima and I were talking about that, it makes you feel very uncomfortable. I mean, that kind of like precise examination of that, of what that feels like, to be so segregated and to be so cruel to someone, But it's important to see that. It's important that we turn a lens on it and really let people pay attention to it.
Most of us.
I'm sorry, I gotta move along.
Oh, okay.
Right there. Can we get a shot right there? Wait. George, together real close, guys.
How you doing, George?
Good. How are you? You all right?
George, we got to talk about this at Cinemacon in Vegas a little bit, and now we're here. But now I want to know, like, I've always known you as an actor. I know you did like a lot of great films as a director. But what do you think you bring to your director role as an actor? Like, what carries over?
Well, actors know what actors need, right? Directors in general are looking for results, right? So if I'm doing a scene with you and I need you to cry, I would go, and as a director, I'd come and go, and right about here is where I need you to cry. Well, that's not how you talk to actors, because actors deal with process. Right? How do you get to the point where you would cry? So the good news is when you're an actor directing, you actually can talk to actors by going, well, I think these are the moments that got you to this place, and then whatever happens, happens. And it's easier when you're an actor to talk to actors.
Yeah. And Karima talked a little bit about the timing of this film and Charlottesville and everything that's happened now that you could foresee coming. How do you think 2017 America reacts to some of the elements of integration, strife, and everything else that went on in this film when they look at the climate of America today?
The first thing you think of, and it's the most infuriating thing, is that when you say no one could have predicted 2017, of course we could. We've seen it. We saw it in Ferguson in its own version. We keep seeing it. Writing a story about dealing with building fences and scapegoating minorities and causing violence to minorities is not going to be something new, and it's not something that isn't in our history, and it's not something that's not going to be in our future. That's why you do it, and that's why you talk about it, is because unfortunately it's still part of us. It's our original sin, and we've never exercised it. So we got to keep talking about it.
Thank you for your time, George.
David, thank you. It's really
All
nice to see you.
And that beautiful smile. One more time right here.
All right, movie lovers. I have one of my friends and one of my favorites, Miss Karima Westbrook. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? Good to see you.
Looking gorgeous on the carpet. I like your look.
Thank you.
So, we did an in-depth interview on this movie. I hadn't had a chance to see the movie, and now I've seen the movie and know your character and what's going on. This is your first time seeing the movie in full, is it?
I've seen it. I saw it in Toronto at the Toronto International Film Festival. Yeah.
Knowing George Clooney as an actor, to know him as a director, like, how do you describe that style, and what does he bring to the director from his actorship? I don't know if that's a word.
No, I understand. I understand what you mean. With George being an actor and a director, I feel like he communicates effectively. Like, he knows, he's like an actor's director. He knows exactly what to say. He's kind of intuitive in a sense where he knows if the room needs to be quiet, because an actor probably needs the room to be quiet. You don't have to say anything. He's like already like 10 steps ahead of you. So he was great. Great experience with him as a director.
Now, with this movie and another movie it's not the same thing, but Get Out, they both examine kind of like the black plight in white suburbs a little bit. How do you feel about that theme being explored in film, in modern film, and and what are your feelings on the depiction of the Myers family, which was really a historic family?
Yeah, I think that it's great in the sense that, art imitates life, and I feel like this is realities that are being showcased here. I'm very happy that the aspect of the Myers family was added to this film, because I feel like it's so interesting. When George created the film, we didn't know that things were be changing so of course racism has always exists, but as far as like who's in office and the event like Charlottesville, you know, he didn't really know that all those things were going to take place. But so I feel like the film is great in the sense that when people see it, they can say, wow, it's the 1950s and all of that was happening, and really kind of look at what's happening now and say, well, how much has actually changed, you know? So, you know, adding that storyline, the Myers, to help reveal those times in the 1950s, I feel like it definitely had his place. You know, it definitely had a cause of being there. So I'm happy that he did, because again, it brings to light the story of the Myers, which a lot of people didn't know about. And I'm having these interviews and, you know, letting people know she was known as the Rosa Parks of the North. That's huge, you know, because you never really associated slavery with the North. It was always more southern states. So to know that their experience was in Levittown, Pennsylvania, it was very eye-opening.
And one more question, like, I know we always watch films with like 20/20 hindsight. So when you do that scene in the grocery store, how do you think you would have handled it as Karima today, as opposed to how Miss Myers handled it in the grocery store, kind of like dignified and walked away?
You know, that's hard to say how I would have handled that circumstance of being in the grocery store. You know, because you always say, "Oh, I would have did this," but you don't really know until you're actually there. In my mind, I would have left. I would have left as well, but I probably would have showcased a little more anger. You know, but she had a certain type of strength, and a lot of times it doesn't require all of that. You know, a lot of times it's a matter of you just moving on. You know. And so she was great in that way. And so I actually learned a lot from her and her resolve.
Well, you were great in the film. Always great seeing you on the film and in person.
Thank you. Same here. Same here. All right. Have a good night.
Good night. Yeah. All right, man. Hey, so this film was great with the Coen brothers and everything. 'Cause I want to know, like, George Clooney as an actor to a director. Can you tell me, like, what about him as an actor carries on to the director role?
Well, I don't really consider him an actor, so.
There we go. That's great.
When George comes calling and asks, you know, come on, be in my film, I mean, really, what was your first reaction?
It's yes, you know, I mean, it's a very easy yes. He's a great director, he's a great guy, he's a lot of fun to work with, and, you know, an actor would be crazy to turn him down. Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.